Hey guys, it's time to begin with Bollocks this evening here in the Bozard Ford studio. It's Tuesday and we got a fun show. We got some great topics. I'm excited about what old Lenny's brought to, not old,
Older.
old, no D, old Lenny, like Old Yeller.
Oh, no. I know the end of that book. Forget it. No.
You got on Yeller today. So
Not good. Good. You don't make it out of the book.
Stories don't go well. Gonna miss you, Lynn. So we got a lot of fun stuff. I was trying to share a show, and I think I successfully made that happen, but we're about to find out. Whoa.
Thunder.
That thunder came later than I was expecting. The morning show, I predicted it would be gone by now.
I know, and I didn't wear a hat because you said that.
Oh,
not
goodness.
really. I just didn't wear a hat because I didn't wear a hat.
Yeah. No. Sound off, Lenny. Gosh.
Yeah, I wish I remembered.
So, first thing we got to do some reads.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We actually have them out on the table.
Right here in front of me.
Because I am so prepared. And you want to talk about prepared. This is where you want to go. If you have anything to do and having to buy a car, you need to go see Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine. Their goal is to make sure your time and experience buying a car is stress-free, fun, and enjoyable. Bozard is a family-owned Ford dealership that has been in the business since 1949. Bozard Ford Lincoln has been a recipient of numerous dealer awards, including being ranked #1 automotive dealership in the nation by Dealer Rater. Bozard Ford also has won back-to-back President's Awards, which is the highest honor given by the Ford Motor Company. Check them out today online at bozardford.com.
Well, when you buy your car, you might need to talk to these people. Since 2008, the Brightway Insurance, the Casey agency, has been guiding St. Augustine through hurricanes, floods, fires, and more. Led by longtime local Ashley Casey, this insurance done the brighter way. No confusing jargon, no one-size-fit-all policies. Just clear guidance, multiple quotes, and customized coverage that projects what matters most. I guess it would protect what matters most, and then you can project it on the wall. Right.
Or protect, yeah.
With deep roots in the community and decades of experience, Ashley and his team make insurance simple, affordable, and personal. Visit them on the island at 108 Seagrove Main Street, or call, I know right where that is, or 904-217-7547. Brightway, the brighter way to do insurance. That's 904-217-7547.
All right, and I get the fun one here. The St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum set sail for an adventure at the St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum, home to the world's largest and most authentic collection of pirate artifacts. Explore over 800 relics across 40 immersive exhibits, including Thomas Tew's original pirate chest, Blackbeard's blunderbuss, and gold from the Queen Anne's Revenge. I'll take that. I don't think you're allowed to walk out with that. You'll even see one of 3 authentic Jolly Roger flags left in the world, curated by Pat Croce and the Croce family. It's a journey through real pirate history right in downtown St. Augustine, located at 12 South Castillo Drive. Come experience the golden age of piracy.
Okay, I see your fun read, and I will do a tasty read.
The yummy.
Experience the art of Italian dining at Saint, nestled in the heart of historic St. Augustine. From handmade pasta to rich risottos and indulgent tiramisu, every dish blends authentic Italian flavor with modern elegance. Sip a craft cocktail, savor a seasonal ingredient, and enjoy breathtaking views from our second-floor balcony or rooftop, where you can take in the bayfront and even spot the lighthouse on a clear day. At Saint, every meal is a celebration. Join us and elevate your dining.
All right, and those are not our only sponsors. We also have amazing sponsors like Anastasia Construction Group, Solar Stick, Abear Kresge and Associates, Powell Heating and Air, Meehan's, A.D. Davis, Meehan's Irish Pub, A.D. Davis Construction, Land Title of America. You got to catch their show on Wednesday nights. And, of course, our friend Kaiser, who's going to be in here shortly. A to Z Roofing and Waterproofing, Anastasia Diner, Moultrie Creek Diner, and Mr. Electric. It's electric. So, and you're making notes over there.
Yeah, I'm changing the possessives.
Okay.
I watched a great documentary last night.
Okay.
Jim Thorpe.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh, we love that one.
Fabulous. I know you would. And they do you know who the bad guy in that is? Avery Brundage.
Okay.
He used to be the head of the IOC forever.
Oh.
And he got smashed. He was like 14th place in the pentathlon against Jim Thorpe in the 12 Olympics in Sweden.
Yeah.
And he didn't win. And talk about holding a grudge.
Is that the Olympics where Thorpe had to pull shoes out of the garbage can?
And the speculation was that Avery Brundage took the shoes from his locker and threw them away.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and you told me that story a couple of different times, and this was great, man. What a man he was. You know, the Carlisle School, what he did for football, how he got jobbed for playing baseball for 12 cents.
Yeah,
and they took it.
Yeah, he pitched in a game.
Yeah.
You know, and they paid him like meal money or something like that, and they stripped him of I mean, just the most amazing athlete ever.
And you know, he
won the pentathlon. Like, he didn't even have to compete in the last event if he didn't want to.
In the decathlon, he was in the top 3 in 8 of the 10 events, won 4 of them outright, and just dominated the field.
Yeah.
His medals were his 2 gold medals for the pentathlon and the decathlon were the last 2 medals that were made of solid gold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
and he had to give them back.
Yeah. When he got them back, were they gold still? When the family got them back?
Yeah. You know, that was a question I was asking myself through this whole thing. Were they the same medals, and, you know, did they put them in a safe deposit box and give them back them? Because they'd be worth a whole lot more now.
Yeah. Because I mean, the ones now are bronze with the gold around it.
Dip. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I thought that was interesting, and it really delved into his education, having back and forth. His father was Irish. His mother was Native American.
He had a standing bet with anyone, and I don't know if this was in the documentary. He had a standing bet with anyone. They couldn't stop him one-on-one from getting 10 yards.
Oh, they played West Point.
Mm-hmm.
They played Army.
Mm-hmm.
And on the opposing team was Eisenhower and somebody else who went on to be another 4-star general. I mean, there were some hot shit people on that team.
I don't think Eisenhower got a lot of playing time.
He did, because Eisenhower, you know, went with his buddy. Eisenhower was playing.
Oh, was he?
And he went to his buddy. Okay, we got to get this guy out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like classic. So they cahooted to knock him out, and literally knock him unconscious was their goal.
Mm-hmm. And they ended up knocking themselves out.
He stepped out of the way. The 2 of them were charging at him. He took a step back. The 2 of them hit each other and knocked themselves cold.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe he should have been in charge of the European theater.
Well, they did okay over there.
Yeah.
They did okay.
They did all right. I like Ike.
Yep. So does everybody.
No, I would love it. Is it on Netflix?
It was on PBS last night. PBS. Oh, no. I'm sorry. The History Channel, so you can find it.
History Channel.
It was on the History Channel. It was really good. It was moving.
What that means is, Blake, you're going to have to find that for me.
But I thought you'd enjoy that, yeah. And they did. They delved into
a 24-year-old in the house that can find stuff like that for me. Right now, I'm going for. I'm watching. It's a Steven Spielberg documentary about Earth, and you know, it kind of goes in my theory about, like, we have really zero control over what's going on, and it really digs deep into that, and, you know, what a blip we are.
Yeah.
On
time.
On everything in time, and like, you know. And it all changed in one day when the meteor hit, and it wasn't everyone thought it was the ice age that killed the dinosaurs. It was the ash that killed everything and smothered everybody. So, and that's, I mean, they and, you know, we've been kind of the dominant species for, like, what, 4 million years, maybe, you know, maybe less than that.
Yeah, I don't think that long.
But the dinosaurs were the dominant species for 100 million years. Yeah. Big difference. I think it's 2 million now. Now that you say,
was it? Because I thought the dinosaurs were only 65 million years ago.
Yeah. So,
which is a trivia question that I got wrong. Which is why I know it now.
Morgan Freeman's a liar. So, no, that's what he said last night. No, that was what it was so funny about it. It was like the guy who played God is telling me all these science facts that don't line up with Adam and Eve.
Well, there you go.
Because at no point at the beginning of the world did it talk about that. So,
yeah.
So, you know,
figure that one out. Why don't we?
Yeah. Hey, we got a show to do, and I got some good topics. You got some amazing topics over there. Some of mine are a little carryovers. You know, I got the one from yesterday about snipers.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm interested in that.
What's your first one you got?
The most beautiful places, 15 most beautiful places in Florida, according to Southern Living.
Mm-hmm. All right. And wait, we're going to stay with this strategy. And I have DeSantis, because you'll get to this next go round.
Yeah, no worries.
I got DeSantis speaks about Musk.
I'm interested in that as well.
So, Blake, you are the selector of topics. The first topic of the day is...
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, I'm going to go with DeSantis versus Musk.
DeSantis versus
Excellent.
Musk. And it's not DeSantis versus Musk. DeSantis is concerned. And he's warning Musk of what he's trying to do and it being harmful to the Republican Party. Now, what I was reading was, hey, I still got a shot at being president. Can you not do this now?
Right.
You know, that's kind of the way it came off. Evidently, him, DeSantis, and Mark Cuban both spoke out this week.
Mark Cuban as well. Interesting.
Yeah, Mark Cuban and him both spoke out about like, hey, let's not, basically throw the baby out with the bathwater, because you're upset about this big, beautiful bill. But I think it's more than the big, beautiful bill with Musk.
It's deeper.
I think Musk realizes where, after doing his deep dive, he's like, oh, this ain't good. And we need something different. And the Democrats can't get their crap together. The Republicans are eating their own. And Musk is like everybody who's stuck in the middle, which I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. I like this. I like at least the conversation. Well, I don't know if, like, because we live in a county and, I'm a person that, local government's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
By far, it's the most important thing. And I like being able to pick up the phone and call my city commissioners, my county commissioners, and my state representatives. I think I spoke to one at every level today.
Well, you're fancy. They'll take your call.
Yeah, they do.
I get to switchboard, and the woman in Rutherford's office who goes, "Okay, I'll mark that down."
Yeah. So you got to have John's private line.
Okay. He doesn't want me to have that.
But
he's gone. He started out as such a moderate.
But he's federal too.
Yes,
he's federal too. So I rarely am in dealing with anything at the federal levels, but he would be my contact,
right?
If I needed to go there. There's some other ones that I can reach out to that are over there.
Well, the Congress people are the closest to effectuating local policies or bringing money home more than your senator or the generic federal government.
Yeah. So, but I mean, but all, and I'm just not to everyone. I understand that, but I believe here in Florida we have people that are fairly easy to get a hold of, fairly easy to get a message to, and to have a conversation with. I don't really want to lose that, and I don't want to hurt, where we're at on certain levels and stuff like that. But I do think for the betterment of our country, because right now I truly believe we're not a two-party system right now. The Democrats got to figure it out.
Well, there's no communication. There's not a lot of bipartisanship. There's not even a lot of, look at the Republicans. They're knee jerk, and you can't tell every one of those guys. Or there was a large, let me rephrase this. There was a large number of Republican senators and congresspeople who had major issues with the big, beautiful, bouncing baby bill. And you know what? They talked about it. But instead of saying, let's wait on this, let's chew it up a little bit, let's make this better, let's reevaluate it, they were forced to, by the commander-in-chiefy, to go for July 4th so he could have a photo op under fireworks and flags and banners. And that's not how you run you don't run your country on a deadline. You run it on what's practical. And there was a lot of people saying, we can make this a better bill. We just need a little bit more time. And he wasn't having any of it.
No, well, he knows what's in there is best for his agenda, not so much best for
the country. Right.
Or it might be his view of what's best for the country.
Or his friends.
Which becomes his.
Right.
Whoever he's surrounded by usually becomes who it is. So I think we're in a dangerous spot. I like challenging, whether or not it happens or not. I like
the status quo.
I like the challenge of the status quo.
Yeah.
Because didn't Republicans pop out of the wig? I think that,
Those guys confuse me. The Federalists, the Whigs, the Democratic Republicans.
yeah,
back in
the
those
Democratic
days, they were all,
Republicans,
yeah.
and then I think the Whig became basically kind of morphed from that. So I mean, we have to have change. If we're not changing, then we're falling behind.
Well, look, I think people would be a lot happier if there was a little bit more collegiality in the Senate and the Congress. And when the cameras aren't on, these guys are having, navy bean soup in the Senate cafeteria together, which is your famous recipe. But, when it comes down to it, and they all vote in lockstep, and nobody, they're afraid to stand up for what they believe is right. And if they do, then they're resigning the next day because they don't want to be...
They're ostracized.
Well, that's exactly it. So they're resigning because they don't need to put up with this shit anymore. And that's not how you run a country, and it's not how you should run a government.
Yeah. No, it really isn't. And that's what I'm saying. I like the challenge. I like the challenge of it. I hope it does have enough to put some fear in. I do think it benefits the Democrats in the midterm. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
And as a Republican, people are going to say I'm crazy about saying that, but I like the checks and balances.
Absolutely, which don't exist right now.
And it clearly does not exist right now.
What worries me more is, and I said this, earlier in the week and last week, I used to love the Supreme Court, and now they're just obsolete, and there needs to be Supreme Court reform because all of a sudden the session is over. They go from October to June, announce their final things at the end of June, beginning of July, and they're still shadow docket emergency things. They're still making decisions that nobody's seeing. They're unsigned. They're done in the dark of night, or at least with the lights off and the shades down. And you know what? That's not how you run a court either. So you got, Alito and Thomas, and their little cabal, and those are the cabalists of them all, because the other three I have a little bit of, some faith in. The other, but those three, not so much. Those two, not so much.
Yeah.
And the other four, there's some hope. But man, oh man, because they just put out another decision today on the emergency shadow docket that was, again, unsigned. You got to put that shit out. Put your name on it, so we know who's responsible for this. Have some balls, would you please?
That drives me nuts. They don't put their name on it,
right?
And
it's obviously the unpopular
I think it
ones.
Should be required.
Yeah,
I think it should be required to do that. So I like I said, I like the challenge. Musk or DeSantis didn't go out too strong against Musk.
No, well,
because he knows that's you got to be careful when you're
dealing with the rich guy.
Yeah, when you're poking the tiger.
Yeah.
So and the thing that I think Trump has to be cautious with Musk about. Trump, most of his career, he's been the smartest guy in the room. You can say what you want, but most of his career, we did the IQ test. We did.
I was surprised by that.
You don't always have to. You don't always have to agree with his action, and that doesn't always. Actions don't always equate to. But he is, in most scenarios, the smartest guy in the room, and usually the guy who's president is throughout his career as being the smartest guy in the room. And if he wasn't the smartest guy in the room, he recognized who was
and has him standing next to him. Exactly.
Here's the problem with Trump. Trump has been the smartest guy in the room for so long and the richest guy in the room for so long, he doesn't feel anybody else's opinion matters. When Elon's in the room, he's not the smartest guy in the room, and he's definitely not the richest guy in the room. And you know what? I think Trump is threatened by that in a lot of ways, and it's showing right now on how his reactions are with it. That's why I like him feeling threatened like that.
I will give a rare compliment to Donald Trump by saying he plays brinkmanship better than anybody I've ever seen. He will take you right to the edge and walk it back, and he'll threaten you with this and walk it back, and every now and again he powers through on it.
But that's a book.
Yeah,
that's in the book.
No, I understand that, and you know what? And there he excels.
They are.
I don't necessarily agree with it as a way to get things accomplished, but he accomplishes it. So that's kind of wacky. But I think Elon Musk is bitten off a big piece of pie because between the petitions, the states putting organizations together, meeting the financial regulations. There's a lot of nuts and bolts that go into this, getting ballot lines. I think he's going to see that this is, which may be why he said, all right, fine. I can concentrate in 2 states on 2 or 3 senators, and I can concentrate on 6 or 8 Congress people.
That's the right strategy.
And he doesn't have to do a whole country. So we're all presuming that he's in for everywhere, and maybe he's going to target it, and that'll work.
Here's how that strategy works, and a lot of people don't. Politics either doesn't interest them or it bores them. How that works is right now there are 5 county commissioners. We're going to take it down to the 5.
Okay.
All right. There's 2 that vote this way, 2 that vote this way. There's 1 in the middle. That person in the middle could have whatever letter beside their name that they want, and they still have all the power.
Right.
And that's the strategy that Elon's playing. Because as long as he's got those 8.
Well, that's what he said.
And those 4,
right.
It swings everything.
Yep.
And, you can, and that way you can be the Democrat for the day. You can be the Republican for the day. As long as you're being the one with the common sense, I'm okay with that.
See, but what really troubles me is the people who know better, like, like Chip Roy. I've got huge problems with this. It's a deficit buster. We can't do this. And he gets his autographed picture of Donald Trump and changes his vote. I mean, I sat next to a kid for 8 years on he's not a kid, he's a grown man and a very bright man, on the city council. And, it swung Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. When it was, Democrat, I was the president of the city council. When it wasn't, I was just another council member. And we would sit there and I'd explain, we'd go over the legislation that we were passing, and he'd say, yeah, you're right. That makes perfect sense. But I'm voting the other way. I said, What did you just say? I understand it. And he voted for politics, not for what was best for the city. And I could never accept that.
You guys didn't even have sunshine. So you could
actually, we did.
Oh, you did have sunshine?
Yeah. You couldn't have more than 2 council people alone together.
Okay.
If you had 3, you had a quorum. If you had a quorum, you were breaking the law if it wasn't done in public.
Gotcha.
Hold on. So if you guys had sunshine, what was like your guys' like nickname for those laws? Like what was it, like subway laws or?
No. It was the same concept.
Could you talk to him one-on-one?
Sure.
You could call him up and say, hey, what are you thinking on this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't do that in sunshine.
All right, well,
you can't do that at all in sunshine.
Then it might take a long time to get shit done.
I can't even call, that's why it's tough for me on TDC.
On the TDC?
Yeah, because I have close friends on the TDC with me.
Right.
So we have to be real cautious. Like someone walks up to us and starts talking, one of us has to walk away. And we excuse ourselves. It's happened more than once. We excuse ourselves and say, hey, only one of us can be here.
I understand that, but it seems a little counterproductive.
It is counterproductive, but it's also, it's the law that's in place.
Right.
Not all laws make sense.
No, well, don't we know that? Absolutely.
Not all laws make sense, but you do have to follow them. So, but all right, you ready to move on?
Yeah, why not?
All right, what did you have? You had
15 most beautiful places in Florida.
All right. I knew you were about to go on. I felt it. All right. I have snipers, and what do you got?
Buc-ee's expansion.
All right. Blake, you get to choose. Sir, what do you got?
Let's go with Buc-ee's expansion.
Buc-ee's the beaver.
Also, by the way, hey, real quick. I was speaking about politics stuff. There was a story. I remember like a while ago. I think we were talking about freedom fries like a while ago. Like when they made the name change. Did that happen here in St. Augustine as well? With
no. I never. I don't do that woke bullshit. So they're French fries. No, what? No, you know.
No. Don't be blaming that. Don't be blaming that on the woke. No. Woke didn't care whether they were.
That was not.
You're still woke whether you're right or left. If you do shit like that, you're still woke. You're an extremist, and that makes you woke. So
I think you need to look up the definition of woke.
That's the French is woke.
Woke is compassionate and aware, and people have bastardized the use of that forever. You care about people if you're woke. Bottom line, simple as that. Punto, end of story.
Boomer. It no longer means that.
No, now it means you're a liberal Democrat.
No, it no longer means that, but it also doesn't mean that the Democrats have the monopoly on being woke.
Well, I mean, a Republican that'll admit to that.
I don't care if they admit to it or not. That's what it is when you go, I'm not gonna shop at Hobby Lobby, or I'm not gonna shop at this, trying to be. That's being woke. I don't care which side you're on. I don't care which side you're on. That's
a different definition.
Now, if they've offended you personally, but you just don't go there. You don't have to.
That's a different definition completely.
That's what woke is.
No, woke is being aware and being compassionate, and that there's other people on the planet.
Hey, welcome to this world.
Then it's time to take woke back.
Well, welcome to this world.
But that's not the definition of woke.
Well, I woke up.
When people bastardize the Democrats for being woke, it's because they're being compassionate and care about people that aren't rich.
They're not being freaking compassionate.
Of course they are.
Being dumbasses.
No.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
No.
You're telling me, okay, all right, your transgender wokeness.
Yeah.
All right.
That's compassionate. It's compassionate for another individual,
So
whether you believe in it or not.
For the woman who lost her medal to that dude who still has his nuts and his testosterone levels through the roof is higher than mine, and they let him compete against her? That's being woke, and that's a dumbass. If you agree with that, that makes you a dumbass. If you think that man, which is a man, there's two genders.
That man has feelings.
I don't give a shit. He's still a man.
You're not woke.
He's still a man. All right? That's what he is. He should not be competing against women's sports.
So
that is woke, and it makes you a dumbass.
And what about a transgender individual who's gone through sexual realignment surgery?
Yeah, you know what? The testosterone level is still. There's two genders, all right? Ask any
Democrats and Republicans.
No, there's two genders, all right? There's one America and two genders, all right? And there's about to be three freaking political parties, which I love. All right?
Well, there's already multiple political parties out there, but yeah,
I know. There's only one.
That's closer, Bobby. That's closer, Bobby.
The Greens still exist. The Libertarians still exist. The right-wing leaning party.
Yeah. Hey, Jill Stein screwed up more elections in the last 8 years than anybody else.
But I can tell you, and this is where the Democrat Party...
That was a long time ago.
Democrat Party lost a lot. The Republican Party learned to let go of the abortion thing. They kind of let go of it the last go-round.
Right, because they know they were going to win in the Supreme Court.
They not so much. No, they're still trying to do it in the state levels.
Yeah, they're not done with it yet.
And they haven't really won in the Supreme Court because it's not nowhere near what it was like in the 60s.
It used to be nationally allowed.
Yeah, and
now you have to find a blue state or a doctor who will be able to fight through it.
What state can't you have an abortion in?
Texas to start with.
You can have an abortion in Texas?
Yes.
Up to 15 minutes. 15 minutes after conception.
15 minutes? What?
6
Dear
weeks.
God, this is why we can't have a conversation.
How many people don't know
the Democrat Party? Because you say stupid shit like that.
How many women?
It's not even true.
How many women have expired the timeline before they realize they're pregnant?
I'm sure several have.
I'm sure a lot of them have.
I'm sure several have.
So there's.
But there has to be some line.
Fine,
of when that
but
happens.
Make it reasonable. Don't make it 6 weeks.
Believe me, I am 100%, and you guys can say I am 100% pro-choice. All right, I am 100% pro-choice, and I'll say it. And I'm 100% for gay marriage. I'm 100% for that.
Yeah,
but I am still 100%. There's two genders.
Fine.
Okay, there's two.
Yeah, and
not 58. Or whatever the new number is.
I can't keep up with them.
It's a new number every time.
LGBTQ plus, and then there's like 3 things after that don't have any.
And if I offend you with your pronouns, those are your pronouns.
They don't make sense to me. That doesn't make any sense to me.
They are your pronouns.
Who's the they and what's the they and the them?
I'm
going to get yelled at by my wife, by the way.
I respect you for who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
And I will call you whatever name you want me to call you. And I mean, I'm going to believe. If you tell me you're a woman, I'm going to believe you're a woman. But when it comes to sports...
Don't step on that field, lady.
No. When it comes to sports, that's you that believes that. I'll respect what you believe.
Right.
But when it comes to equal competition, it's not fair. It's just not fair.
But just this she, her, they, them doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what? LeBron James could say, I'm a woman right now. And he would dominate the WNBA for the next 20 years, and he's 45 years old right now. You know, so I mean, it's.
I don't know. I think Asia Wilson and
No, you got to be shitting me.
Can I finish my sentence?
No, you
She'll
can't.
kick him. She'll kick him in his man-like balls.
No, she won't. You know why? Because he can hold her off with one finger. All right. Here's the difference, and I love women's sports, so don't hate on me. But women's sports is great against women. All right. The national women's team that won 4 gold medals.
Right.
4 gold medals, played a high school 16 and under, not even 18 and under, 16 and under, and lost 7-1.
16 under men's team. Boys team. Okay.
All right. 16 and under.
Really?
National women's team, 4 gold medals, lost 7-1. There's a difference between the testosterone and estrogen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
And just the muscle density, the size, and the strength.
If Mike Tyson said, I'm a woman, and went against Ronda Rousey or whoever the badass this woman is right now, guess who wins? And he's 174 years old. He's my age.
Yeah.
Michelle Tyson.
Yeah.
This in contemporary time, I take Ronda Rousey against old man Tyson right about now.
No way.
Oh yeah.
You're absolutely. See, no,
he got winded standing at the weigh-in with Jake Paul.
Matter. She wouldn't last 12 seconds. It just wouldn't matter. There's a difference between the two.
A roundhouse to his ear.
Yeah.
Get him back. And get him back for.
And he'd do this.
Yeah.
So you're making me have to drink water already.
Good.
It's not even. Oh, I guess it's halftime.
All right.
It's halftime.
Where's Adam Sandler when you need him? Mm-hmm. Where's the water boy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but we kind of need to act like Robin Williams when he's on stage with it's like 30 water balls on like one stool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I still got Snipers. What was your other one? Beautiful Cities?
Yeah, we were doing Buc-ee's.
We were doing Buc-ee's. We didn't get to it.
See how well that worked?
Yeah. Buc-ee's was my choice, but this is I am so glad I brought that up so we can have a great conversation.
Yeah, you threw us off with the freedom fries.
Oh, God, exactly.
I'm outnumbered by Democrats in here.
Yeah. Much like those fries back there, they are very salty.
Yeah. All right.
Not good for you.
So Buc-ee's.
First store opened in 1982.
Yeah.
Then they expanded it to First Travel Center, which is what we know of as a Buc-ee's today, in 2003, outside of, sadly, San Antonio. So hopefully everybody's healthier over there right now.
With the big old women?
I don't know. It's just this is San Antonio is locally to the sadness of the floods.
Yeah, but Charles Barkley's like on Inside the NBA. He's like notorious for ribbing on the city of San Antonio.
Those big women.
Okay.
He talks about the big women of San Antonio.
Right.
But he apologized to him.
He did.
He apologized. He said, "I finally had a churro, so now I understand why
how they got big. There you go. Okay, fine. Then the refried beans doesn't help either.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now Buc-ee's has 54 stores in 9 states. Alabama, Florida, Colorado, Kentucky, Missouri, South Carolina, and Tennessee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Georgia and Virginia and Mississippi are coming online now. Mm-hmm. So they opened one in Mississippi, the first one in Mississippi in June, the first one in Virginia in July, and the third one in Georgia also in July.
Mm-hmm. I heard there was a delay on one in Nashville or something.
There is. Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ocala and Fort Pierce, all because of permitting.
Okay. Well, that's a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
Should hire a good consultant, Walking Man Consultant,
right.
904-669-7901. All right.
Call collect. And now they're I think this is interesting because they're going right
Don't ask me to repeat your pronouns.
It's still cute. What's a they or a them? It makes no sense to me.
You're welcome.
If you want to be a woman, then you're a woman. You're a her. But what's they them?
What's the story about the angry dog? You ever heard this story?
Possibly, but
okay. So this guy goes to pet his dog and he's like, hey, my dog doesn't like men. And he goes, and he got offended. He's like, well, I'm offended by you assuming what my gender is. And he goes, fine, let the dog decide. He didn't pet the dog.
No, I don't think so. Okay. But they're building one in Benton, Arkansas.
Okay. Bentonville?
I had Bentonville, but it said Benton because I crossed off the Ville, strangely enough.
Okay.
And 2 more in Arkansas because I thought that was going right into the home of the Wall and the Mart.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
But the population's there.
Actually, there is a difference. Like there is a Benton and then a Bentonville.
Okay, so it's 2 different.
Yes.
Two
Correct.
Okay.
And then 2 more in Arkansas.
Arkansas.
The Ohio store is delayed. The Murfreesville, the Ocala, and Fort Pierce are delayed by permitting.
I'm assuming the Ocala one's right on 95.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You mean 75?
Yeah,
75,
yeah, 95. I didn't think 95 went over there.
75. Yeah.
There's one that's scheduled to open in North Carolina. I have Melbourne, but I don't think that's not there. 26, 27, plus one in Tennessee, Wisconsin, Kansas City, Missouri, plus another couple in Texas, and Harbor Heights, Florida, wherever that may be.
I don't know where that is.
Nope.
I
That's
guarantee
right
it's
there.
near an interstate.
Yeah. South Carolina and Kentucky, they're all in permitting and developing. You know what the guy's name who, and I'm not quite sure which came first, because the owner of Buc-ee's is George Arch Beaver Alpin III.
Oh, that's...
So I don't know if he got the Beaver after he started opening Buc-ee's, or that was the idea to open the Buc-ee's.
He might have changed his name. To...
George Arch Alpin III, known as Beaver.
I think Beaver might be his nickname.
Yeah. If all are open by 2027, they'll have 70 locations in 17 states.
Yeah.
They're expanding like mad.
Yeah. I think his dad's name was Ward.
Cleaver?
Yeah. A little hard on the Beaver last night.
That's it. Ward? Yeah, right. Never mind. It's gonna devolve into things that we shouldn't say on air.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I still don't have that list, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's first of all, big clean bathrooms, every type of fountain drink you would like, more jerky than you could shake a stick at. And they got brisket on the board.
Brisket on the board.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've been in Buc-ee's, I think twice.
Okay.
I think I've been in the one in Daytona once and the one in here
In
once.
World Golf Village.
Yeah.
And I'm not a guy who suffers with a lot of anxiety.
Made you a little too frenetic?
It made me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
A little frenetic for you.
Yeah. Costco did the same thing to me.
I can understand that as well. Yeah, it's just there's too much tumult.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you have to be in the right frame of mind, in the right mood, altered or not, and go in there and treat it as a field trip and treat it as an adventure.
Yeah.
But they've got a sausage with a tortilla wrapped around it on a stick that if you're not careful, you could take your tonsils out because it's a big giant sausage. And the skewer is like probably 12 inches. But they do make a really nice white pepper gravy, and that's pretty good. And my major complaint with Buc-ee's is when you're getting gas and you want your receipt, there's seldom paper in the receipt printer. And that kind of upsets me because I'm not going back in for my receipt.
Yeah.
But it's all good. It's all good. And fudge, yes,
Well,
that's
I'm
true.
glad
Fudge.
they're doing so well and they're successful because they hire a lot of people.
It's fascinating the volume of people in there, regardless of the time of day you're there. It's first of all, it's like a tourist trap. It's a giant sundry store, and you can get a Buc-ee Beaver on anything you want. Bathing suits, and they sell fryers out there. Gas and propane fryers. It's wild what they'll put in the little vestibule of that store to sell you. Inexpensive ice. They pay good money. They constantly have a sign that says what their wages are. And if you work in the night shift, you get a differential. You get good vacation, 401k. It's probably not a bad place to work. But then you got to scream, brisket on the board.
Brisket on the board. Okay, yeah, no.
When they chop that all up.
Yeah.
But that's Buc-ee's, yeah.
Yeah, and then but then also the one down in Daytona, like I think the last time you went, they didn't open up the car wash yet. So I believe they might have like the longest car wash in Florida, and I believe they have the longest car wash in Texas, like in the world.
Okay.
So they and so it's like they make like everything like an experience there.
It is. It really is a miniature theme park. Without the ride, unless you go through the car wash, and then maybe it is. Does your car come out cleaner in a longer car wash?
It should.
Okay.
Hopefully it does.
Yeah.
All right.
And Rebecca said, "Did you just say giant sausage?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
Giant sausage.
Yeah, with a big 12-inch skewer.
Okay.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah.
Wrapped in a tortilla, no less. So they wrap that rascal.
Yeah. No, Buc-ee's is. I mean, I'll get my brisket from Spencer.
There you go. That makes more sense.
Or you know.
Though I will
or
say,
Sonny's tonight maybe.
we were coming back from an errand this afternoon, and I did stop at Buc-ee's and get gas at what was it? 262.9, so 263. Because I refused to buy into the fact that it's 99 cents. I rounded up to the dollar.
Yeah.
But that was good. Yeah, that was, you know, and the Circle K at 312 and 207 was 289. So I saved myself a whole buckload of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Buc-ee's, you have beautiful city. I have
50
snipers.
most beautiful places in
I
Florida.
have snipers. 50 most beautiful.
15, yeah.
15?
Most beautiful places in Florida.
Most beautiful places in Florida. And I have Trump's approval rating with the top 4 states.
Okay.
Which is California, New York. Actually, they're 4th. California, Texas, Florida, and New York.
Okay.
Okay. So
you said I'd be surprised.
I have snipers as the lead one. So.
And you want to do snipers?
Well, I think it's just an interesting story.
Well,
it's a history. It's more of a history thing than it is anything else. So.
What's the man behind the glass say?
Yeah, Blake, you get to choose, sir.
No pressure.
We might be able to get to all 3 of these.
We got 20 minutes.
We got 20 minutes. So.
All right. Since it's the last one that's in the title, we're gonna go for snipers.
All right, snipers. All right, so the most deadly sniper in the world. Do you know where he's from?
I'm going to say the U.S. and be patriotic.
All right, there is one in the top 10. Actually, there's 2 in the top 10
That's
from
Chris
the U.S.
Kyle, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Chris Kyle is the number one. The American Sniper story. A lot of you guys know that story. But the number 1 sniper, his name is Samo Haya. Okay, it sounds, the way I just said it sounds Japanese, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. No.
He's probably Israeli.
No. He's from Finland.
You know, I was going to say that because if you watch the Olympics, those guys do so well in the biathlon where you skate, where you ski and shoot.
And he was in the snow, and he actually has an all-white snowsuit. I'm trying to find it right now. But he had over 505 confirmed kills, and he was nicknamed the White Death. All right, Blake, I sent you a picture of this guy.
Yep, I already flashed it up.
All right, can you put it back up?
He looks like a Bond villain.
Dang it!
Oh.
I was trying to find the list here, so I could find like the white suits.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead and try and find that white suit. But he also had a total of over 700 kills. His kills with the rifle were 505. Okay. Now, he had some explosives and killed some other people, and just from where he was at. And this guy lived to be 96 years old. So he just died in 2002.
Okay. And, it begs the question. So he was how old?
He was 96. It was early World War II is when most of his kills
Well,
came.
that's what I was going to say, because, you don't think of Finland as a militaristic country, but they were defending themselves against the Germans, and now they're nervous as hell about the Russians.
Got a photo.
There you go. There he is right there.
Oh, in his white suit.
In his white, that's why he was called the White Death.
But you had a picture of him you had a headshot of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get it? Headshot?
Well, and he's disfigured.
Well, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
He's disfigured. But, when you think of a sniper, obviously American Sniper makes us think of Chris Kyle.
Sure.
Who died a very tragic death trying to help a fellow.
That was, yeah.
A fellow veteran. But of the snipers in the top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are from the Soviet Union.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
Not an Israeli?
So none are in the Israeli category. Chris Kyle ranks like 7, and Carlos Hathcock ranks like 10.
All right,
Okay.
Dad, I do have I'm looking it up right now. There is a discrepancy, though. Where did you get this list from?
Ooh.
I went to several lists. Simo actually has less kills than Vasily, but they still considered him the number one in the rankings of like all the other snipers took a lot of strategy from this Finnish guy.
Now, what about this is who I have as number. This is what's listed as
Okay, we can't read that from here.
Abdul Zarin from Iran. What does?
He wasn't on my list at all.
Yeah, because he's listed over 700, but the official number has not been confirmed. But at least
but those are all Iranian dissenters.
And there was discrepancy there because you had to go with the confirmed list. And there was a lot of them, like the Middle Eastern
confirmed
ones
kills,
that were not confirmed. They came back and said, "Hey,
guess what I did?
I got me an American."
Yeah. That, or was it Iraqis?
Yeah.
Was it
but
natives?
These are all listed as confirmed of the ones that I had. So because they have Chris Kyle at 160 confirmed, and his number was well over 225. But never confirmed. So the number's probably in between what they said and what they actually had. But I just found it fascinating. The number 4 person as far as confirmed goes was a Canadian in World War I.
In World War I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sergeant York popped up, and he had 28 confirmed kills, and he probably killed more than that.
Well, that was because he would just, walking back of him and pick him off in a line. They lined up for him.
No, they were walking towards him.
Oh, I thought he got in back of him and he was knocking them off.
No, he had them all throw down their weapons. That was after he had already killed like 28 of them.
Yeah.
But they were walking almost right, like he would just whistle, boom. They popped their head right through there, boom.
Smart way of doing it.
But he took a whole squadron down by himself.
Yeah.
So,
Sergeant
York's
one at a
if you
time.
haven't seen the movie, it's a great movie.
Yep. Was that Gary Cooper, right?
Yeah, Gary Cooper. Yeah. So I just found that list very interesting because I saw something on Chris Kyle, and I was like, okay, I wonder where he ranks. Number 1 in the U.S. as far as, and then I said, I wonder where that ranks in the world, and that's how I got to this list. But
really not as high.
I never heard of this guy, Simo, and he just was just a incredible at his job. I mean,
yes,
and then he lived to be like 96 years old.
I wonder how well he slept at night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a lot of faces to have to think about
when you're sleeping. Yeah, exactly.
All right, but that's a dark story. I never heard of this guy before, so that's one of those things that kind of intrigues me. Like, okay, why didn't I know the story of this person? And it was when you Google White Death, this guy comes up every single time.
No, not China White or cocaine.
No.
Okay.
No. So no, but that was the whole snipers thing that I can't imagine that being your career.
When you're good with something, if you're good at it, more importantly, unless you went into private practice, he also wasn't making a whole lot of money doing that. If he was on the Finnish payroll.
Well, he's still a national hero in Finland.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to buy himself a drink.
No, never has to buy.
No aquavit.
No.
Well, he's dead, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he died.
Well, now he is. Yeah.
He died in 2002.
Don't make me ask the question.
Mm-hmm. What's the question, Lenny?
If he was alive today, what would he be doing?
He'd probably be drinking at the bar,
scratching at the lid of his coffin.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. You'll get used to that one of these days.
Yeah, one of these days. One of these days.
I have to defend your dad joke, so come on. You catch me every time.
One of these days, I will remember that joke.
It's so versatile. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. It's just very versatile.
All right. What was the other one? You had pretty cities.
No, 50 most beautiful places in Florida.
Beautiful places. Okay,
yes.
I thought it was cities. Okay.
No, I have the best cities in America ranked, one from to 175 or something like that. But that's a long list. But no, 50 according to Southern Living, the 50 most beautiful places in Florida, according to a Floridian. This is how that article went. Mm-hmm. First is Al's Beach in Walton County. It's Alys Beach over in the Panhandle. Some of these are kind of generic because the next one is the Space Coast, where they're very excited about the bioluminescence. I didn't know there was bioluminescence over there, which is always great because I know that El Yunque in the main island of Puerto Rico, Mosquito Bay in Vieques is a bioluminescent bay. When I lived in Puerto Rico, that was great.
Rebecca did the bioluminescence, paddleboard.
Yeah, on the Big Island.
She did.
Or here, down here.
And around the Cocoa area.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. Space Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dinoflagellates. And it's interesting.
Flagellates?
Dinoflagellates.
Dinoflagellates. So
That's the little.
the
That's a little.
Flintstones dog has flagellates.
He said it, Rebecca, not me.
Okay.
So yeah, and what it is they get activated and they give off this bioluminescence, and it's really interesting because depending on how you're getting there, to get into Mosquito Bay it was Hurricane Bay, so it was where people would put their boats during a serious storm. So you're coming in from the channel out from the ocean. You're coming in, and as you get closer and closer to the bay, you'd start to see streaks coming off the prow of the boat because the little fish are swimming out of the way of the boat, and as they're going, they're activating it. And then you could go in, and at the time you were allowed to go in and swim in it. And that was great. You dive in, and it's like, you know how a swimming pool light is sort of Coke bottle green color?
Yeah.
So that's what it was like. But you could also hear crackling in your ears because these things, the water crackles.
Oh, wow.
It's really very, very cool. It really is.
All right, I have a
There
photo.
it is.
Okay. Which one is this?
The bioluminescence is I just typed on Space Coast bioluminescence.
Okay, yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
Rebecca and Sam and Maeve, they have some great pictures from down there.
That's great. And what's neat too is for that, if it was out on the coast, as the waves wash on shore, the waves are glowing. It's very pretty.
That's awesome.
It's a little freaky.
All right.
Okay,
What's
so
our
that's
other pretty places?
Lake Santa Fe in Melrose, which is, by the way, there's a great fried chicken place there called Friars, right on your way into Gainesville. If you're taking that road to get to Gainesville, I don't know if it's 12 or whatever it is. It might be 10. And it's a great bass lake and old cypress trees. Then we get a little bit more urban, and it's Park Avenue in Winter Park. It's all played out with cobblestones. That's just outside of Orlando.
No,
it's very nice.
It's nice.
John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park in Key Largo.
Okay.
It's the first underwater state park, which they formed in 1963. So the whole thing is underwater, and they've got some glass bottom boats for that. This is when we were talking about some other things. I'm surprised this one didn't come up, but the Don Cesar in St. Pete. Big, giant, pink hotel. Big and beautiful. Voted best historic hotel in 2023, according to Southern Living. Then you have, it's very topical now. You have the Everglades in Everglades City.
I don't see them being beautiful.
Well, it was bbefore they put up fences and chain link.
No.
How about
No. I don't think you were there. No, it smells like swamp.
well, you get used to it. Hey, look,
no, you don't. I can tell you.
I grew-
Florida
Okay,
boy who's actually walked around in it.
Yeah.
It still smells like swamp.
Okay,
that one I'm not giving beauty to.
But the concept of Prussian memories that trick your, the smells or stuff that trick your memory and remind you of things from your youth. Well, when I grew up, the recreation field, which strangely my first restaurant was across the street from that, and people said I was out of my mind to open a restaurant back in that neighborhood back there in the middle of nowhere. It was sort of an industrial area, and it worked out just fine. Don't worry. The recreation ball field was here. Then there was the train tracks. The other side of the train tracks was the water treatment plant. Well, you're playing pee-wee football out there, and I am telling you, that smell would be semi-noxious. But if I smell it now, it just brings me back to my days of playing on Coast Guard or an Air Force, which is the pee-wee football teams I played on. Everglades was done. The Gasparilla Inn and Club in Boca Grande.
Okay. Been there.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd have put it on the list, but it's nice.
Well, this is according to a Floridian for Southern Living, so we'll go.
No.
The Vizcaya Museum and Gardens in Miami.
Okay.
It's on Biscayne Bay. Been there since 1916. It was a private home that has now become a public museum and gardens. The gardens are supposed to be magnificent. The Crystal River National Wildlife Refuge.
That's where all the manatees are.
And that's the only place where you can legally swim with the manatees. You can take a tour and swim with the manatees legally.
Okay.
Well, according to this article.
You're not allowed to touch them. I mean,
Okay.
no, I mean, but if you're in the river,
Okay.
as long as you don't touch them,
Okay.
because we've had manatees out at the river just swim right up on us too.
Okay. Well, this says if you take a tour,
Blue Springs, they swim in
With you.
They go through the swimming area. And Blue Springs is amazing too. I hope it's on the list.
No. The only one like that was Crystal River.
Okay.
The alleyways off of Worth Avenue in Palm Beach, Florida's Rodeo Drive is Worth Avenue.
Okay.
And the side streets and the alleys are full of small shops and colorful flowers.
Okay.
Okay. Lou Gardens, that's Leu Gardens in Orlando. They've got a tropical formal rose garden and tropical steam garden, which is a variation of a rainforest, apparently.
Okay. Never heard of that.
Nope. The Ann Norton Sculpture Center and Garden, which is also in West Palm. 100 pieces by Ann Weaver Norton, who is a sculptress, and 250 rare plants. Flagler College made the list.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
You know, it is
yes,
beautiful.
Indeed.
It
Big
is.
on the Ponce Leon Hotel. And then the Colony Hotel, also in Palm Beach, for its pink and white pink paradise.
The Breakers didn't make it.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So the Breakers are beautiful. I'm glad I'm glad Flagler College
Absolutely.
made it too. I mean, the dining hall and
they noticed, they talked about the domed roof in the dining hall and the
amazing.
Tiffany windows.
Yeah, it's amazing in there if you've never been in that dining
Just
hall.
the woodworking and the carvings and the woodworking.
Well, a lot of the chairs that we sit in are still the same ones from the hotel.
Yep.
So
With the horsehide and the horsehair under them.
The parlor, which is still under construction, and what Mike did to preserve that plaster on the roof when they were doing the construction above it is absolutely amazing.
Flagler room or a different room?
Flagler room.
Yeah.
That's the parlor.
Yeah. And still, I'm waiting for somebody to get in there and fix that clock.
Yeah.
Because the clock stopped, and it's like they would have to come in. They'd have to open the wall on the outside I think, to get into the clock over that big mantle clock. It's a big, beautiful onyx clock there. Mm-hmm. And it's broken because it doesn't tell time anymore.
Well, it's right twice a day.
Yeah. But they need to kind of figure that one out. And I don't know how they're going to get there because it's kind of sealed up.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that the Don Cesar over in St. Petersburg is there, because that is just one big, giant pink edifice. Mm-hmm. So it's really pretty neat.
All right. And I will take back my argument about the abortion. I didn't realize how restrictive 12 states are.
Yeah.
There are 12 states that the only birth control that is allowed is the morning after pill.
Yeah.
And they're making it hard to get that now. Mm-hmm. You know, it depends on what next.
Yeah.
Secret docket rule.
Alabama seems to be the most restrictive. Mm-hmm. So of what my...
Do you have the weeks on there? You know, I mean, some of these are 6 weeks.
The second tier, those 12 are even restrictive before 6 weeks. And then then there's several that are 6 to 12 weeks.
Right. Which is still getting dicey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely is. But I've lost the list now. So I will take back how restrictive those 12 states were, because I didn't realize it was that restrictive. And those 12 states are completely wrong.
That's why the Supreme Court justice race in, I believe it was Wisconsin, was so important, because the woman who won that seat flipped it from a conservative majority to a liberal majority, and they finally repealed the 1849 abortion law that was in play that chilled doctors from from practicing their medicine. And that's what it comes down to. You know, and this is very difficult. There's a lot of people and there's a pervasive fear in the country for people to do things. You know, are you going to like something on social media because somebody's going to see it? Are you a doctor that's going to perform an abortion? Are you a hospital that's going to allow it to be done there? Are they going to take your funding? Are they going to close you down?
Yeah.
It's it's the thumb on the scale is very, very, very heavy.
Yeah. So right now, here's kind of like a map of like every state right now. The deep purple states are the 6 weeks and earlier abortion states. So the 18.
I thought Florida was 12 weeks. It looks like
it was originally 12 weeks when the Dobbs decision went down. Then there was a new law that passed that Ron.
So it's down to 6 weeks.
It's
also
down to 6 weeks here.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. Florida's repressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a ballot amendment like in the 2024 election. It got 57% of the vote, but we needed
60%, which is, you know, where there's one other state that's more restrictive than that, than Florida at 60%, which is brutal.
And then, but then also correct me if I'm wrong. The original amendment that allowed the 60% amendments rule, we only got like 54% of the vote.
Right.
Yeah, it got
to change it to 60%.
54% to change it to 60.
Yeah, how does that make any sense?
It doesn't at all.
Yeah. So
it doesn't. Great discussion, Lenny.
Always
appreciate always learn from you.
One thought: Bobby, Magnolia Street was not on there. And I will tell you right now, that street seduced Julie and I to move to St. Augustine.
It's beautiful.
We had stayed in Volano Beach, and our realtor drove us right down that street, and we were smitten.
It's a beautiful street.
Yep. So that should have been on the list.
I love that street. If you don't love that street, you don't know which one we're talking about.
As a matter of fact, I gave, there's an artist, Scott, who sells his work at the Plaza quite frequently. He's a local artist. He's at the Wednesday Pier Craft Fair. And he did one of Magnolia Street that I bought and gave to Julie as an anniversary present to memorialize our time here.
We got to get to trivia.
Oh, shit, yeah.
We got to get to trivia. Thank you, guys. Tomorrow we have
Zaza Flamenco.
Zaza, because I keep wanting to call her Zaza. Zaza Flamenca coming in. She's got a big event happening next week. We're going to talk about that. So it should be a fun show. Appreciate you guys. Great conversation in the comments, which I could see every once in a while. But thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay.